Side by side we sway there in all the colors. Some love.
Some books you read, some books you enjoy, but some books just swallow you up, heart and soul. Let's talk about the 5 books that have swallowed me up whole so far in 2024. Let's just start niche, because the first book is The Sunshine Court. It's a book I never thought I would be able to talk about, simply because I didn't know that it was coming until like 2 days before, and it's actually the 4th book in a series. And the 3rd one came out 10 years ago. So I am still ecstatic about this book coming out, and I've read it 3 times, and it came out in April of this year. Because it is the 4th one, I won't get into too much detail about the plot of this one, but I will give you a overall plot line of these books, even though the 4th one is about one of the side characters in the 3 other ones. But let's get into it. Neil Justin is the newest addition to the team at Palmetto State University, and he kind of want to keep a low profile, but even getting on the team is actually a big no-no, because he's actually on the run from his murderous crime lord dad. And on this team he also meets someone from his past. Neil doesn't know what to do, but he knows for the first time that he might have something that is worth holding on to. To be completely honest, this is one of the truest forms of book crack that I have ever read. But I'm also aware that this book isn't for anyone. But if Morphia and Kids on the Run and Made Up Sports sounds like anything for you, please do give it a try and join this side of the internet. We mostly hang around on Tumblr. That will probably say enough about this fandom of this book. The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater is one of those books that I've had my eyes on since I think it came out, and I've had it on my bookshelf for 5 years, but I didn't pick it up until now. But now that I've read it, I can honestly say this book is magic. It has magic, it is magic, and it's the best kind of magic. It's the kind of folklore magic, the kind of magic that could just actually exist if you look close enough. The Scorpio Races is about the Scorpio Races, which takes place in the beginning of November every year. And the goal is just for the riders to stay on the horse until the finish line and not die in the process, which should be quite simple, but these are water horses. They are horses that you capture from the sea, and they eat flesh. They are flesh-eating horses. We have Sean Kendrick, who is a young man of very few words. He is a returning champion of the Scorpio Races. Then we have Puck Connolly, who was never meant to participate in the races, but Faith wanted it differently, and she is now participating, and she's not ready for what is coming. Then we follow each of those 2 participants and how their paths cross in this magical book. I love the way that Stiefvater wrote Puck. She just seems so real. She has so many emotions that I could just pluck from the page and put into myself. They were just so real, the way she described all those feelings. And I really think that truly what caught me about this book. It is this so human emotions that Stiefvater just writes so beautifully. And to comment on her writing, it is fantastic. And she is truly one of those that isn't just an author, she is a writer. She takes as much care of every sentence that she does on every character in this book, and you can feel it. Then we have Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. In the book we follow Jane Buck as she shuffles through fashion school and her very cloud-chasing, annoying boyfriend, while also battling a eating disorder that she is not ready to look at and not ready to confront. On top of that, she also has a sister who is very rich, has a very stable finance job and a very big apartment, and they do not talk until her sister is diagnosed with uterus cancer. So this book is about Jane and her sister and their family and Jane's relation to this and herself. Let's start with the obvious. This book is not YA, because YA should not be allowed to hurt as much as this book hurt me. Or maybe that's exactly what YA is, just books that hurt you deeply, deeply to the core. Because that is what this book did. Which is also why it did take me quite some time to get through this book. Because I was hurting every step of the way. I had to chop it up, I had to take breaks. Because firstly, I started reading this book on my commute to and from work. That did not work, because I was sitting there being ripped open while reading this book, and I do not want to do that at 7:30 in the morning with people I don't know. No thank you. So the emotion of this book is hard hitting, and Jane's point of view and her very, very raw emotions and very real thoughts, because that is what this book does so well. Those are not thoughts that feel like they have been through a lot of machinery, that has been through an editor. They feel like real thoughts taken from someone's head onto the page. Very dark thoughts, but very real thoughts. So yes, I did feel like I got severely hit in my feels multiple times reading this. And if I haven't prefaced it enough, this book just hurts in the feels of sisterhood, of family, of your relationship to yourself. You sadly do cry more in this book than you laugh, but I will say that Jane does go on a discovery journey, and I do like the pacing of it, and I do like where we end up, because there was a point where I was like, if this keeps on, I cannot finish this book, but I'm very glad I did. Sorry, it's just in my head, but I'm very glad I did finish, because it still gives you hope. This book still gives you hope, and that is very important, because it does not for a very long time of the duration of this book. Next we have Letters of Enchantment by Rebecca Ross. This is the perfect, soft and hard-hitting fantasy duology that you could ask for. And yes, I know that's very specific, but sometimes you have to be. I reread the first one and read the second one, which is why I am now recommending the whole duology for you guys. Logic. After centuries of sleep, the gods are waking up for war. But Iris Winnow does not have time for the gods, because her mother is battling addiction and her brother is at the front. Her best chance to save her family is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette, which is one of the newspapers in her city. But of course, roaming Kit has to be there as well. He is very rich, well connected, and he also wants this promotion. So they are battling it out at work, trying to write the best articles to see who wins. In the meantime, Iris is also writing letters to her brother, but she doesn't know where to send them to, so she just puts them in her wardrobe. But they disappear. Roman Kit gets those letters. And he eventually writes back to her without revealing who he is. These two form a connection that will even follow Iris all the way to the front of the war. What is there not to like? I don't know. And I will say I listened to the audiobook of the first one, and that just made me fall even more in love with it, because I was standing and working and listening to this audiobook for like all day long, literally all day long, and I just fell in love in this immersed world. This is just one of those series where you love every character and every chapter. I just couldn't put any of those books down. And when I call those books soft in the beginning, it's I want to hug these books, I want to hug all these characters, and it has the same feeling of reading Howl's Moving Castle and Narnia. And I know that is a bold statement to make, but I do feel like the feeling you get, I'm not saying that it should be in the same categories, but the feelings you get, that is the same category. And that is a feeling I really love. The last book is Dependency by Tove Ditlevsen. And this is the second book by her that I've read, and she is a gift from above. Her books is a gift. And I'm not saying that lightly, like I cannot stop thinking about her books, I cannot shut up, and I think my friends are so tired of me talking about her and her books, but now it's your turn. I'm gonna talk to you about her books, because they're just that good. To give a little context, Tove Ditlevsen is a very famous Danish writer, and she published books from around the 1940s until the mid-70s. And I've read 2 of them, so I do really want to keep reading more of her books. Dependency is her 3rd memoir, and I have also read her 2nd memoir, which is about her youth, and Dependency is about her life from her 1st marriage and onward, which is actually a really long time, because it's from her 20th year on this earth. That sounded way too deep. So as I said, she's 20 years old when this book starts. She's just published her 1st book of poems, so she's already famous as well. And she just got married to a famous literary agent as well. Literary agent. Her path seems set, but you have no idea of the struggles ahead of affairs, unwanted pregnancies, and her destructive addiction. And as the year goes by, the central focus of Tove's life comes into focus, which is her dependency on other people and her addiction. But the book is also about living freely and fearlessly as an artist, just doing your passions in this life. Dependency is a very honest and dark look at addiction, but also the life of an artist. I could go on and on about this book, but to be honest, the only thing I really need to say is that if you only read one book in 2024, it should be Dependency. It really should be this book. What grabs at me the most, and one of the biggest reasons why I love it, is the honesty, which I also talked about in Yolk, and she has it as well. It is just so honest. It is as if reading somebody's diary. She is not afraid of saying what she thinks of these people. And it just gives such an honest look at her life. And of course she couldn't have been this honest with herself, I think, while living it. But it gives hope as well, and it gives fear for what is to come. But she so honestly says that she lives for her art. And it is incredible to see what life she had with that in mind, and also then getting an addiction and being an addict for almost the rest of her life, and what that meant for her life, her art, and her family. I have some honorable mentions as well, because I did not only love 5 books this year so far. So the books would be Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, The Familiar, Just Kids by Patti Smith, The Man Who Drew Denmark by Sara Alfort. A Danish honorable mention is Med hjertet i hånden af Liv Helm, which is not translated, it just came out this year. But guys, when that one gets translated, I will rave about it to you guys until the day I die.